What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to have a little bit of a chat about, well, the most expensive One Piece TCG cards that released in 2023. That means we are not including Romance Dawn, because Romance Dawn released in December 2022. We are sticking quite nicely to, well, we're sticking to 2023. Also, if you do include Romance Dawn, it gets really annoying because then you've got an awkward question of what do you do with pre- and post-errata versions of some of the cards, and it just gets a little bit awkward. But also, was not released in 2023. We had 4 sets released in 2023. We had OPO2, which is, of course, Paramount War. We had OPO3, Pillars of Strength. We had OPO4, Kingdoms of Intrigue, and we had OPO5, Awakening of a New Era. So, let's start off with a couple of cards that came very, very close to making it onto the list, but unfortunately did not quite make it. And look, I know and you know that a lot of this list is going to be manga cards, alright? But we need to figure out what the manga cards are, how much they're worth, which is not an easy question, let me tell you, and also which cards can come in and disrupt stuff. So just missing out, there are 3 cards I think that just missed. We've got the alternate art secret rare Katakuri, which came in at about $120. The alternate art Sakazuki leader from OPO5 that came in at $120. And the alternate art Newgate leader, which actually jumps up and comes in at about $160. All of these are extremely playable cards, which is not actually necessarily a requirement for value. I mean, the Katakuri is very, very popular and played in yellow decks, and is an alternate art of a secret rare, so you know the pull rate is quite low. Sakazuki is the best leader from OPO5, and really kind of ruling the metagame at the moment, and yet doesn't make the list even though it's an alternate art leader, and we know the pull rates for those aren't fantastic. And one important thing to note, we do need to remember that OPO5 is kind of sold out at the moment and kind of hard to find. The fact that this doesn't make the list under those circumstances is interesting. And then we got the alternate art Edward Newgate leader. This has been the best leader all year. I did my One Piece TCG awards the other day, and I gave this my best leader of the year award, and honestly it wasn't even close. It was a very easy decision for me. But the fact of the matter is, apparently it still doesn't make the list. Only 2 leaders do. One of them comes in at number 10. It is the alternate art leader Nami. Which, I mean, look, it's here because people love Nami. And it's not that it's a bad card. It's not a bad card. But does anyone honestly want to argue with me that Nami, as a leader, as playability-wise, is as good as Newgate, that literally got banned for the latter half of the OPO4 meta, or Sakazuki, which is ruling the format right now? Nami's had some decent results, don't get me wrong. But compared to Sakazuki and Newgate, nah, mate, it's not even close. Not even close. But it's a $190 card, and the reason very simply is people love Nami. In at number 8, we got the alternate art Katakuri leader at $200. I spent a bunch of time looking around places like eBay, TCG Player, a few other places, really trying to make sure that these were the right way round. Because only $10 between them, and the price is quite high here. And I'm pretty comfortable they are the right way round. Now, I will say Katakuri is not as popular as Nami, but it is a much more playable card. In terms of yellow, right up until OPO5, it's basically only been Charlotte Katakuri. And I'm not saying there haven't been other yellow decks. I'm saying that by far and away the best yellow deck has been Katakuri. Very good leader. Lets you look at a life card from the top or bottom of your opponent's life, put it at the top or bottom of their life, and then gain 1,000 power. You're rearranging life, gaining power. It's cool. It's weird that this is up there, because I don't think it's as good as Newgate, or, as popular a character as Nami, and yet comes in at number 9 at $200. In at number 8, speaking of Nami, we've got the Super Rare Nami from OPO5 coming in at $210. Now, this is one to keep an eye on, because initially on release, as predicted, the price crashed pretty hard. but it has since been creeping up quite nicely. Well, nicely if you've got the card, sadly if you want to pick it up. It is, of course, an alternate art from OP01, and we've already got the fantastic alternate art from OP01, but it's a version with a low pull rate, and the artwork's extremely cool, and it's a Nami. And look, any hard-to-pull Nami is going to end up on this list. We saw that with the leader from OP03. This is just another example of it. Now, in at number 7, we start the March of the Mangas with the lowest manga, and that is the Soga King from, well, OP03. Fun fact, the only manga I've pulled is this one. Having said that, if you look at the amount of boxes I've actually opened before turning to buying singles, I have not opened that many, like 1 or 2 of each set, compared to people who have opened a lot more and not pulled one. I'm not complaining. I just find it funny that that's the one I pulled. And it's a cool card. And it's playable. It's absolutely playable. It pops up in a bunch of decks. But the reality of the situation is it's Soga King. And look, these manga rares are so expensive. You know, this one I'm putting at $500. And the fact is, you can pick up the other versions of this card pretty gosh darn cheap. There are free versions of this card. You don't need the manga rare. So really, it's all about popularity, and Soga King just falls down quite badly here. I will say, very playable card. And I will also say, I've put this at $500, and look, it's definitely more than the Super Rare Nami or the Special Rare Nami, and it's definitely less than number 6 on the list. On my list, I put an asterisk next to the 500 because I've seen it sell for like $350 not that long ago, but I've also seen it sell for above 500. So 500 is my very rough average, but of all the cards on this list, this is the one where my stated price is the least definitive. Coming in at number 6, we've got Manga Sabo. It's at $600. Again, I should mention, all of these manga cards, I am giving you the best approximation I can of their value. They all vary quite wildly. They're high enough that you are going to see big shifts in terms of price. And also, they're going to change quite regularly as well. So as I record this, like I say, I've looked at TCG Player, I've looked at eBay sold listings, I've looked at a bunch of other places and Facebook and all of that. And I've given you my best approximation of value. The reality is, if you buy Sabo, you're probably not going to pay exactly $600. But that is the average of what they've been going for lately. And look, Sabo is another playable card. In fact, you see it in most black decks at the moment. And Sabo, it's not up there with the high characters on the list in terms of popularity, but Sabo's still pretty cool. But honestly, this does kind of make sense popping this in at number 6. In at number 5, big jump, Manga Ace at $950. Now, one of the things you need to remember here is that Manga Ace was OP02, Paramount War. And the relevance of that is, that was a while ago at this stage. Like, Paramount War, there was a post on the official One Piece TCG store saying, hey, we've got some in stock. But that was kind of a, hey, we've got some in stock, you better rush down now, because only one of our 2 stores actually have it. Basically, it's running out, is what I'm saying. Manga Ace is running out. And that is why the price is starting to creep up. This one is a little bit inflated by the fact that this set is becoming harder to find. And whereas the OP03 and 4 cards I just showed you, the Manga Rare Sabo and Soga King, they're still in sets that you can find in a lot of places, Ace is not. In at number 4, we've got Manga Kid. And I'm going to be honest with you, the top 4 is all from OP05. And I just told you that Manga Ace is a little bit inflated over some of the others because it's from the older set of the year. And that means that it's harder to find. And then I'm immediately turning around and telling you the top 4 are all from the most recent set. Yeah, Manga Kid comes in at about $1,000. Now, just to be clear, I am fully aware that this is very close to Manga Ace. I spent extra time on this, looking around everywhere, really trying to make sure that as I record this, and things could change in a day or two, but as I record this, Manga Kid really is, on average, selling for just a little more than Manga Ace. And look, part of this is OP05 has just come out. It is an extremely hyped set. I've called it many times the best One Piece TCG set so far, and I mean it. And also, it's kind of sold out everywhere. So that means that actually trying to get hold of this is not the easiest, I think is the polite way to put it. It's the lesser of the three in the set in terms of value, although to be clear, I do think it is extremely cool. I also think it's very playable. Like we saw when I casted Liverpool Regionals there a few weeks ago, we saw this just absolutely crushing. It's a great card. So yeah, it's there at 1,000. At 1,100, we've got Law. And also, right, with Law, I'm sorry, I like the manga, but I'm going to show you again the Akira Igawa alternate art. It might be my favourite piece of One Piece TCG artwork we've had so far. It is that good. But look, Manga Law, it's a similar kind of thing, yeah? 1,100 to 1,000 at this point, they're both very, very similar. But, I mean, Law, if your opponent's got more Don than you, look at the top 5 cards of your deck when attacking, find a Heart Pirates card and add it to your hand. It's search, it's really good. I mean, Kid, for what it's worth, is a blocker, and once per turn, on your turn, when a Don is returned to your Don deck, you add an active Don. They're both really good cards. Apparently, Law is just a bit more popular than Kid, which honestly I do kind of understand. In at number 2, we've got the signed Luffy, which is coming in at about $2,000. And yeah, we've got the Oda-drawn Luffy in the set. That was not that popular. I mean, it's a cool card. It's not that valuable. You're not going to pay too much for that. It's going to be fine. The signed one's going to set you back about $2,000. And it is as simple as, it's Luffy. It's drawn by Oda. It's got Oda's signature on. It's a cool, unique card with a very low pull rate, and it's Luffy. Add all of that together, and yeah, that should be coming in at number 2. And then, of course, number 1 is Manga Luffy, and it's not even close. I've put it at 2,800 because, again, looking at all the places I've looked at this morning and trying to take an average, that seemed like a fair price. However, I found multiple sales of this over $3,000. So I'm telling you 2,800 as a rough guide, as an average, phrase it how you will. But I'm also telling you that this is one you may well end up spending over $3,000 on. You have been warned. All right? Cool. And look, it's Gear 5 Luffy, it's Manga Luffy. We all knew at some point Manga Luffy was going to happen. They waited for the 1-year anniversary set, they waited to really go for it, they waited for Gear 5. They've actually got a really playable card that gives you an extra turn, which is fun. But honestly here, they've just gone, you know what? It's Luffy. Yeah. There are 3 manga rares in OP05, and they are the 3 biggest manga rares so far. Maybe it's hype. Maybe it's the fact that the set is sold out, and when it starts coming back into stock, which I'm still convinced it will, it's going to start getting a bit better. But for now, we actually have a nice, neat top 10. And don't get me wrong, like Katakuri and Nami are very close together at 8 and 9. Manga Kid and Manga Law are pretty close together, and actually so is Manga Ace. They're all really bundled up tightly. But I feel pretty confident with this list and the ordering. And you may notice when I've done my most expensive cards of 2023, I've not gone for trophy cards. I've not been looking at your serial cards, etc. And the answer essentially is, it is so hard to find values, and these are available to so few people, that I just figured it wasn't really right to go pop them on this list. I'm not ignoring the fact that they're here. I am well aware there are trophy cards which will dwarf the cards on this list, but also the fact that they're only available in some events, they're only available to some people, and the values are so all over the place, I thought that the best way to go about it today was to look at the cards you can actually pick up from packs. Feel free to be upset about that. If you are, I'm sorry, but I do feel like this was the best call today. Cool. Excellent. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know which of these cards you have picked up. I want to know which ones you pulled. I want to know which ones you bought. I want to know if you got a good deal or not. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far, the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.